If the American dream has become increasingly unattainable for the middle class, it is a question that plagues the minds of many Americans today. This issue grapples with an often unseen but deeply felt crisis, the middle-class rental crisis. This crisis is a struggle waged in the hearts and homes of countless individuals and families. It is a battle to keep a roof over their heads amidst rising costs and stagnant incomes. Once the foundation and promise of the nation's prosperity, the American middle class now finds itself beyond the control of economic forces, thus caught in the midst of conflict. This invisible war is waged not with guns and bombs, but with paychecks and rent checks, with the relentless arithmetic of time and the brutal calculus of survival. Over the past 20 years, rental prices have skyrocketed, often doubling or even tripling the cost of rent, while wages have remained stagnant. This disparity has turned what was once a manageable expense into a daunting financial hardship. Statistics are sobering. More than half of middle-class renters now spend over 30% of their incomes on housing, making it not just a burden, but a crushing weight. Many spend even more, sacrificing other necessities and even going into debt to keep a roof over their heads. Yet this crisis often goes unseen because it is not dramatic, not a sudden catastrophe seizing headlines, but a slow grinding pressure, a constant undercurrent of worry at the back of the mind. As we delve deeper into this issue, we will uncover the economic forces behind this crisis, its impact on individuals and communities, and the policies at play in the middle-class struggle. To understand the middle-class rental crisis that many Americans face daily, we turn to insights from economists. Let's dive into the core of the crisis. One of the most striking factors economists highlight is the increasingly widening gap between income and rent increases. In the past few decades, rental prices have risen at a much faster pace than income levels. This is akin to being in a race where your competitor is on a motorcycle while you are on foot. The gap is vast, unbridgeable. Then there's the issue of gentrification. This is a process where wealthier individuals moving into a neighborhood drive up property values and consequently raise rental prices. While this may appear as economic progress, it's a double-edged sword for current residents. Their homes become unattainable luxury items, forcing them to uproot their lives due to the exorbitant costs. Next, let's talk about the scarcity of affordable housing. It's like a game of musical chairs with housing. When the music stops, there aren't enough chairs for everyone. The demand for affordable housing far outstrips the supply, driving prices even higher and leaving many middle-class families without a decent place to live. An economist has described this situation as being stuck in a snowstorm without a coat. Here, the rising rental prices represent the snowfall. The scarcity of affordable housing represents the cold, and gentrification represents the wind. You're caught in the middle, without the right protection to weather the storm. A stable, affordable home becomes a losing battle. Taken together, these factors create a perfect storm for the rental crisis. But how does this crisis look on a personal level? Going a step further, we'll explore the economic forces behind this crisis, its effects on individuals and communities, and the policies in the middle-class struggle. What are the crises at hand and how do they look on a personal level? Let's introduce you. Consider the story of Sarah, an average teacher. She has dedicated her life to shaping young minds, yet despite working full-time, she struggles to afford the increasing rent of her two-bedroom apartment in the city. She's taken on a second job, sacrificing precious time with her family. Then there's Robert, who worked in construction for 35 years, meticulously saving for his golden years, only to find his retirement pension doesn't stretch long enough to cover the exorbitant rent of his modest home. He's had to make the painful decision to leave behind the neighborhood he's called home for decades, leaving behind friends and the community he loves. And then think of Mia, a single mother of two working two jobs. Over the past 5 years, the rent for her apartment has increased by 50%, and despite her best efforts, she's struggling to keep up with the bills, facing the looming threat of eviction. These are not isolated incidents. They're the stories of millions of middle-class Americans. Despite their best efforts, they're being threatened with eviction from their homes. It reflects the harsh reality that the backbone of our society, the middle class, is being pushed out of their homes. Choosing between paying for food or keeping a roof over their heads, leaving behind loved ones and cherished communities due to soaring rental prices. These stories are more than just numbers on a page. They're the real-life consequences of an invisible war. Now, how do policies affect the rental crisis? We asked policy experts for their insights. The response is complex, but let's unpack it. One key area where policy plays a crucial role is in the realm of affordable housing. The lack of comprehensive policies to promote affordable housing has led to a lack of options for middle-class Americans. The absence of these policies means that the housing market is largely determined by the free market, which is effective in many scenarios but doesn't always meet the needs of the middle class. Experts have pointed out the impact of zoning laws that limit the types of housing that can be built in certain areas. These laws often prioritize single-family homes over multifamily buildings, creating a mismatch between the available housing stock and the demand, especially in urban areas where demand is high. Additionally, there's the indirect effect of policies that inadvertently encourage real estate speculation. These policies can lead to a decrease in supply. Property investors purchasing properties in desirable areas, driving up prices, raising rents, and leaving middle-class renters out in the cold. Rent control policies apply to control rent increases in some cities, but experts caution that this may lead to a decrease in housing quality as landlords may be deterred from maintaining or improving their properties. Often, well-intentioned policies can lead to unintended consequences, contributing to the rental crisis rather than solving it. For instance, policies aimed at protecting tenants can sometimes lead landlords to be more selective about who they rent to, potentially excluding middle-class tenants. Policy plays a decisive role in the rental crisis, often exacerbating the problem rather than solving it. This is a complex issue with no easy solutions, but understanding the impact of policy is an important step in addressing the crisis. So how can we solve this crisis? While there may not be a one-size-fits-all solution to such a complex problem, there are several strategies we can explore to alleviate this issue. Experts proposing policy changes to alleviate this issue suggest that revising zoning laws could be a significant first step. By allowing for more dense housing in urban areas, we can increase the supply of affordable homes. Other policy proposals include implementing rent control measures and providing more assistance to low-income renters. But policy changes alone cannot solve the rental crisis. Community initiatives also play a vital role. For example, some communities have launched cooperative housing programs owned and managed by residents. This model is a successful way to keep housing costs low and build stronger communities. On the other hand, promoting financial literacy can enable individuals to make better housing decisions. Providing resources on budgeting, saving, and understanding the rental market can help tenants navigate this challenging environment. However, these solutions also come with their own challenges. Revising zoning laws may face opposition from property owners who reject dense housing. Rent control measures may deter landlords from maintaining properties, and assistance often faces budget constraints. Cooperative housing requires a high level of commitment from residents, and not everyone has access to financial literacy resources. Nevertheless, despite these potential hurdles, experts agree that these strategies can make a significant difference if effectively implemented. The key is to address the problem from multiple angles and combine policy changes, community initiatives, and individual actions. While these solutions may not completely eradicate the rental crisis, they can mitigate its impact. They can offer more affordable housing options, protect tenants from exploitation, and empower individuals to make informed decisions about their housing. The rental crisis is a complex issue, but we can take steps to address it. And remember, every step taken to address this crisis brings us closer to winning this invisible war. This journey may be long and challenging, but it's a journey we must embark on for America's middle class. You might be thinking, how can I help? There are several ways we can all contribute to alleviating this ongoing rental crisis. Perhaps the most powerful tool we have is our voice. By advocating for policy changes, we can influence the rules regulating the housing market. Reach out to your local representatives, attend city council meetings, and don't hesitate to share your thoughts and concerns. Remember, change often begins small, with the actions of a determined few. Supporting affordable housing initiatives is another way to help. This could mean contributing to nonprofit organizations, building affordable housing, or volunteering for construction projects. The efforts of these organizations not only provide affordable housing options, but also foster self-sufficiency and stability for those in need. Education is also a crucial part of the solution. Many people are unaware of the severity of the rental crisis, and it's our duty to shed light on this issue. Talk to your friends, share information on social media, or organize a community meeting to discuss the issue. The more people understand the crisis, the more they can help. Another way to contribute is to support businesses that pay a living wage to their employees. Companies that prioritize their employees' well-being ensure that workers can afford their housing. When we patronize these businesses, we vote with our wallets and encourage a fair economic system. Lastly, consider being a responsible tenant. Renters who offer fair rent and respect to landlords can alleviate the pressure on the middle class. Remember, every step counts. Even if you can only do one of these things, you're still making a difference. We may not solve this crisis overnight, but with consistent effort, we can take significant strides, leading to a future where everyone can afford a place to call home. Together, we can make a difference in the middle-class rental crisis. It's an invisible war for the average American. It's a complex structure where various economic dances, supply and demand, income gaps, and the cost of living converge. This crisis is not just about numbers between pages. It's about people. You and me, our neighbors, our families. The human impact is real and significant. Policy also plays a critical role, shaping the crisis landscape. But not everything is dark and gloomy. There are potential solutions, from policy reform to community initiatives. We can all play a role in addressing this crisis. Remember, this war may be invisible, but it's not unwinnable. It's a call for each of us, a challenge to bring about change, to work towards a future where the American dream is accessible to everyone. Thank you for watching Wealth Stream 101. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave us a like below this video.